All right, DePaul College Prep families, we're so excited to add this addendum or additional information to considering costs in the college process. So, this is some additional information and some fun resources that we found that we really want to share with you, in addition to that lovely presentation for coffee and conversations that you already got to view. All right. So this is what we're going to be kind of adding to today. So giving you some more concrete ways to talk about money before junior or senior year, before that list is formed. Um, on a scholarship expectations, so really understanding how private scholarships and merit aid works and what to expect from that process. So we're realistic with our expectations. And then also our lovely Miss Mondro is going to do further discussion of tools and resources. And I'm Miss Kaushal with the College Counseling Department at DePaul College Prep. So we're here to help you out. All right. So I'm going to do full disclosure. I found this resource at College Age Pro. They have a lot of free resources for families. They are a CFP, so they're certified financial planners. We do not partner with them, but I am using their information. So I didn't come up with this myself, but the information really hit home because it's a lot of things that come up in conversations with our families in junior year, and we're just going to encourage you to have these conversations a little bit earlier, if at all possible. So, one of the first things that you might want to think about or talk about in freshman year, even, what can we afford across all 4 years of college? So, you want to consider that tuition increases unless they have some sort of grandfather clause, which only a few colleges do. So it's going to be about 3 to 5% more every single year. So when you're thinking about those 4 years, you want to consider that the costs may go up while your child is there. Additionally, what you might not be thinking about is costs beyond tuition. So you see tuition and room and board on a college's website, but you also want to think about, like, how will they get there? Am I going to be paying for a plane back and forth every time they go to college? What are books going to cost? Are they near somewhere they can get their hair done, and how much does it cost? If your child is living in New York versus Omaha, Nebraska, cost of living is going to be more expensive. So you can't just think about room and board and tuition. You also want to think about those costs that are going to vary depending on where your child is going. Go ahead next. Okay. This happens a lot. So we have families who say, I am going to make it work. And then we often kind of furrow our brows and say, what does make it work look like? I have myself a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old right now. And with planning for college a long time from now, I also have to save for my retirement and have somewhere to live when I get old. So when you say you're going to make it work for your family, what does that look like for you as the parents? Are you going to have money for your Roth IRA? Are you going to be able to take care of your mortgage? So you want to really think about what's the difference between what you can afford and what you should pay for college. What you can afford could mean you're stretching, you're sacrificing, you're borrowing, and you're willing to make it work, but it's really affecting your quality of life. Versus what you're willing to pay, that might mean, okay, I have this much discretionary income. It's the same as what I paid for DePaul when my child was in private school, or it's the same what I paid for daycare. So I can pay like $2,000 a month for them for college. That would be a more realistic plan for you. So you want to discuss that with your partner and get on the same page about what your ceiling is and write it down. And then have that conversation with your kid. You want to have the numbers really lead you. So when you're looking at the sticker price of a college, and Ms. Mondro will talk about this, you can do a net price calculator to evaluate how much it might cost your family, and then say, well, look, after all of these scholarships, et cetera, that we may qualify for, it looks like it's $30,000 out of pocket, and that's about as much as you're willing to pay. Okay, next. Student debt limits. We hear about this in the news all the time, and I myself have had student debt before. Your kid doesn't understand what that means, and neither did I used some of my loan refund money to buy a mattress when I should have not taken it at all. So you really want to think about that. A 17 or 18-year-old doesn't know what student loan debt is. $4,000 in loans, $40,000 in loan may seem very abstract, whereas that may be $400 a month for them 10 years after graduation, that's real. So that's going to affect their discretionary income. So before you really get to that conversation, you really want to understand, what do loans look like? How much can they actually take out from the Federal Reserve? So those are protected loans under their name that they don't have to pay off until they graduate, versus perhaps a college offers you a Parent Plus loan and they say you can take out $20,000 for your child. So that's in your name versus student loans. That means you have to pay it back right away and you're taking out debt. There's a ton of debt going around in our country, and that's something we're very aware about. So we want to make sure that with our students, you talk about, if you take out these loans, your loan payments might be $200, $300 a month after you graduate. And then you want to take a look at their salary that they might get after their attended field, and how much of that income are they going to have to pay towards repaying those student loans versus rent, savings, saving for a house, buying a car, etc. And is your student, and are you as the parent comfortable with your child taking on that debt? So you don't want to go beyond really what the federal government offers you if possible, because outside loans like SoFi or Sallie Mae, those are going to be like your typical credit card debt with a really high percentage of interest that's going to tack on to that debt. So that's really important for you to evaluate. What kind of lifestyle does my child want to live? What is this potential job going to get them? And how much debt are they going to need to pay off that could affect their quality of life? Next. Scholarship backup plan. So you can't just like pray and hope that they're going to get some money. That's not really a strategy for your family. You want to have a realistic conversation about scholarships. Will my child qualify for merit scholarships? You can see that on net price calculators for colleges, or there's websites like Merit More that you can play around with. Or Ms. Mondro is also going to talk about Big J Consulting, where you can evaluate how much merit money a school actually gives out. Are you counting on your child to get like a $20,000 scholarship a year with no idea of where they would get that from? What's the backup plan if the financial aid package isn't what we expect? Since merit aid is not guaranteed, it's important to understand how merit scholarships at each of your colleges are awarded and if your child will qualify. Additionally, once they get the merit scholarship, you want to understand, how do they keep it? Because if they drop too low, they could lose that money that's really helping you pay for that college. So you really want to understand how scholarships work and what's your backup plan if you don't get the money that you're expecting them to get. Next. Okay, and this one we really think is very important and so helpful to talk about before your child falls in love with the school. College Aid Pro recommends you talk to your child in January of junior year at the latest, before they start really developing into their list and getting very connected to it, and let them know what is the maximum you're willing to pay regardless of what the school name is. Are you willing to walk away from a dream school if the financial aid offer really stretches and makes problems within your family's finances? And how are you going to frame that boundary so your kid understands it's about you protecting them, making sure that they're not going deep into that, making sure that they have a great college experience and they're not worried about money. So this is something that's going to vary for every single family, where the debt is too much and you won't sacrifice it or compromise. So if you don't define that before your child gets into senior year, they may fall in love with something that in April of their senior year, they're feeling the pressure and the tension to switch and pivot because it costs too much. So having a walkaway number protects you and your family into making a good financial decision. Now, you really want to know what all your kids' options are, and we're going to talk about all those tools that are available with these conversations that you have with your family. Start with your spouse or partner first, or anyone else who's financially helping, then move on to your child. Yes, it may feel uncomfortable at first. Finances often are for many people to discuss, but this is really going to help you understand the numbers and make a sound financial college list. Next. And thank you, College Aid Pro. Okay, scholarships. We love scholarships at DePaul College Prep, but we also really want to be realistic with our families about what scholarships can offer and what they cannot. So in the college, the Coffee and Conversations presentation, our presenter from Elmhurst does talk about what merit aid is, what grant aid is. So I'm not going to review those definitions, but just kind of help you understand where the sources are that you can get money from that is free. Okay. So inside would be the inside the university. So each college is going to have a financial aid or an admissions office that is in charge of really working through the business model and giving out merit scholarships, so those academic scholarships, or need-based scholarships based on your family's income. Additionally, there'll be things like departmental scholarships, athletic scholarships, talent scholarships that are offered directly from the college. And these are only good at the college offering it. So if Ithaca College offers me $20,000 to play my violin, I can't go to IU and play my violin for $20,000. It's only good at that school. Whereas outside scholarships are different private organizations like the Elks, like McDonald's, that are offering scholarships for students based on lots of things, like maybe how tall they are, or they're left-handed, or they're Latino. So each of these are going to have a specific criteria that relates to the private organization's mission and vision. It could also be state and local governments, and these can be used at any university for university costs or possibly for outside costs like books, etc. Next. We really want families to have honest scholarship expectations. So I wanted to provide you with some data. So these are statistics from the Education Data Initiative. Um, so in the world of college discounts, private scholarships play a very small role. So chances of winning are pretty decent. You can win, 1 out of 8 students can win a private scholarship. Whereas merit scholarships, 2 out of 3 students are getting merit offers. So those are those scholarships offered directly by the college, whereas that private is outside, like the Italian Catholic Federation, for example. Now look at the difference financially. So we really want to help you conceptualize this. An average merit scholarship size could be like $25,000. Now that's going to take a huge chunk off the sticker price of a college, whereas the average private scholarship is $2,500. So yes, it's a nice little chunk of change, but is it going to make up a $50,000 gap? No. So when you're thinking about private scholarships and talking to your child, we want you to understand that the chance of winning a full ride scholarship is 0.01%. So it's possible, but it's like winning the lottery. Next slide. So the big thing with scholarships is if your student is really going to dig in and go for private scholarships, they need to be proactive. And we often hear this from students, like when we're getting close to April, I need scholarships. I really want to go to University of Wisconsin. And it's like a $30,000 gap. And I can't afford that. That is not a time to start frantically filling out private scholarships. You're not going to be able to make up that huge gap. Okay. So proactive students know when to apply. Timeline wise, that would be anytime in freshman, sophomore, junior year, there is some scholarships available. Additionally, senior year, August through April is the latest that you can find scholarships. And they are sprinkled throughout every single month, with a huge percentage being in like September, December, February is when colleges' extra scholarships tend to be cut off. But if you're asking me in April and May 1st is coming, it's not going to happen most likely, okay? And that's not to be discouraging, but to have a strategy. If you need private scholarships, you have to be proactive. And counselors talk about this often. They have students who say they want to, and then they never follow up and they don't fill out the scholarships. So it's just like applying for a job. You have to know, one, where to apply. So on the DePaul College Prep counseling page, we have a link to a scholarship database, but it also has different listservs for scholarships, like scholarships.com, scholarships 360. Going Mary is one of my favorites. Scholly. If your kid is down and they're ready and they're proactive and they're going to apply, they want to sign up for these listservs and then fill out the demographic information. And then Going Mary will start sending them scholarships. We also recommend that your student have an outside email address just for this and college stuff, so their email at DePaul doesn't get filled with scholarship emails, but they have it in one set place. So that's where to apply. You can also, as a family, assess, like, are we in any unions? Was our grandpa in a war, or grandma in the military? Is my child tall? Is my child Italian? Is my child Catholic? As we mentioned, the Italian Catholic Federation gives scholarships. So think about every identifier for your child that could be a scholarshipable thing. And then impact of your strategy in general, not that you should not apply to the Coca-Cola scholarship, but any national large brand scholarship is just going to be harder to win, okay? Versus local, niche, or essay heavy scholarships. Any scholarship, for example, would say no essay, that's the lotto. You're essentially putting your name in, you don't have to do any work. Maybe you'll win. It didn't take any time. But where essay heavy scholarship, there's probably going to be way less competition because kids don't want to do an additional essay. If it's local, maybe you know the person who's operating it. Like, for example, we have a Polish scholarship that's local only for Chicagoland students. So there's less competition. So strategy wise, you want to have a good balance where your kid is not only doing like no essay scholarships or only national ones where it's going to be harder for them to win. And kids who do really well in this process apply for lots of scholarships, okay? Once you start the process, it becomes way easier. But just as an example, at my previous job, I had a student who applied to 52 scholarships. 52. And he was able to make up his gap. He was able to win lots of 1,000 here, 2,500 here, 5,000 there. And yes, that stacks up. But applying for one scholarship and like that was it. It's not going to do the thing. So again, we want you to know when to apply early, apply often, where you can apply, where you can look, and just know that this is an extra. This is something like nice, like chunk of change could be extra for you, but it's not going to cover a college that's way out of budget range for what seems reasonable for your family, and only you all can decide that. So those are the things that we really want families to be protective of their quality of life and what's best for their child, and know that there really is no one dream school. Your child can be happy at a place that costs less, but has the same exact feel, which is exactly in that college and conversations presentation that we discussed. Some of the things influencing success for scholarships that we hinted at, but just to give you some strategy ideas as well. So academic performance, the higher your child's GPA and the higher their test score, the more things they're going to be eligible for. And that translates to college options as well. STEM majors like engineering, biology, nursing have a slightly higher chance of winning private scholarships. And there seems to be a lot of scholarships out there for them, like women in engineering. There's an Amazon engineering scholarship, for example. And as I mentioned before, application volume, the more you apply, the more chances you have to win. All right.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm going to be sort of picking up and talking about some tools and resources that would be very useful during. So Ms. Kaushal kind of talked a little bit about sort of this buyer and sellers list, as well as Mr. Monastra in our original presentation. We're big fans of Jeff Stalingo in this office. And I wanted to go a little bit deeper into being able to access the buyer and sellers list. And so you'd have to you could easily Google Jeff Stalingo buyers and sellers list. We're going to include a link, a resource guide with links to do all of these things as well. So you might not have to Google. But the fastest way to get to Jeff Stalingo's buyer and sellers list is just by Googling buyers and sellers list, and it'll take you to his website. When you get to that page, you're going to scroll down to the bottom. About a year ago or less than a year ago, our old buyer and sellers list from Jeff Stalingo used to be a spreadsheet that you downloaded. But unfortunately, it needed manual updates. So if he made any updates to it, you'd have to go back, re-download the sheet. But the new iteration of the buyer and sellers list is dynamic. It automatically updates, but now it's on a website that's hosted by College IQ. So when you go to Jeff Stalingo's website and request the buyer and sellers list, it will take you to College IQ's website, as well as give you a password, because I'm going to show you what that website looks like now. Is that on College IQ's website, it will pull up this dynamic spreadsheet. So I have a screenshot of it here. The nice thing to know about this is that it is pulling information from a few different resources to kind of give you a list of buyers and sellers based on that. The great thing about this is that you can see there's a whole column on whether or not Jeff Salingo considers the school a buyer, which is going to be where you might receive more merit money. And then sellers, which are going to be that higher yield where they're less incentivized to give merit money to students. You can see on this document that is dynamic. You could actually search by a particular college's name. You could do it alphabetically. You could do it by state. So this is way more and easier to use than his old spreadsheet that you had to manually update every so often. All of these columns are really here to kind of help you understand whether or not is a buyer or seller, what acceptance rates are, the percentage who choose to enroll when we're talking about yield, which percentage of their students are receiving merit-based scholarships, what the average merit aid is, all the way down to considering whether or not it is just merit based or if it is taking consideration of your financial information. So this one is really great because it does have information and it is giving you the terminology of buyer and sellers that Mr. Menestra went into pretty deeply in our original presentation, but here it is in one shot. So there are some additional other resources that are similar to this buyer and sellers guide. Me and Ms. Kaushal and our team is a really big fan of Big J Educational Consulting. They have a very similar document on their website. And basically you can just Google Big J Educational Consulting, or you could utilize our resource guide that we'll be sending out with this video. The only caveat to this one is that it is not going to give you the terminology of buyers and sellers, but it will let you know a little bit more information about the average need met for undergraduates, including the average merit aid to non-need undergraduates. And you can actually, this website is also dynamic as well. You can sort these columns, you can search by region, all of that as well. So this one, the only caveat to this one, unlike Jeff Salingo's list, is that it is not including that buyer and seller information. And if you want that, you can always utilize both of these resources. Another one in the same range as this Big J is College Transition has a website called Dataverse. They have something very similar to Big J, where if you click on this link, it will take you directly to a very similar spreadsheet. A lot of these, both Big J and College Transitions and Jeff Salingo, are utilizing something called the Common Data Set that colleges will publish, and you can access it on their website. So say, for instance, if you want to understand Auburn University and sort of not just information about their financial aid, but sort of also their admissions information, the Common Data Set is going to be a really helpful place. Both College Transitions, Big J, and Jeff Salingo's list kind of translate that information just to focus on merit aid. But Dataverse also has a ton of other things as well. So College Transitions is a really great website if you're looking for a list of schools for nursing or for engineering. So this particular guide is really helpful. College transitions just use a lot of data that is really helpful for various parts of the college selection process. Outside of that, Ms. Kaushal also made reference to going on and finding out a federal student aid estimator. I like to have families who, if cost is a concern, I like them to first start at the federal student aid estimator. This is actually on the same website you would go to fill out the FAFSA. Basically, on the screen, if you Google this and you find the federal student aid estimator, you'll click on Start Estimate, and it's going to basically walk you through something, I call it a mini FAFSA. So if you are interested to see if you are going to qualify for any state or federal financial aid, it'll also give you an idea of what your student aid index is. So when you fill out the FAFSA, you will actually receive this number, the SAI, or the Student Aid Index, and colleges will use that to build a financial aid package for your students. So if you want to get a sense of if you would qualify for federal or state financial aid, you could utilize this website. And it just gives you sort of an inside look on what FAFSA could look like for you and your student. Now, Ms. Kaushal also talked a little bit about not just talking about with federal financial aid, like on the previous slide. This one is going to be an opportunity for you to use the net price calculator for colleges that have it on their website. I'm a big fan of this US Department of Education website because you can actually click in this box here and you can start searching for the college itself. So, like if you're interested in Urbana-Champaign, if you are interested in University of Tennessee at Knoxville, you can literally search it up. It will take you directly to the college's website, and then you could do their net price calculator. So the previous one, which is the federal student aid estimator, is going to be what the government is going to be looking at. So with FAFSA information. And this one is particularly for the college itself. So as Ms. Kaushal was talking about, you can actually type in your information and it'll give you a sense of what you would qualify for at that particular school. Some are even advanced to kind of maybe even suggest merit money or merit scholarships information as well, not just need-based. So you could use this as a possible way of trying to understand cost at this particular school. And the US Department of Education has kind of created this calculator center to make it easy for you to kind of search by each school. I would be remiss to say, and I think Ms. Kaushal made a reference to this as well, about the idea of finding the right fit. So Jeff Selingo, after he published his original book, which is Who Gets an NY, he just released this past fall something, it's a book called Dream School, where it's also talking about finding the right fit for you as well. So it's got to be a combination of not just cost, but also fit too. The beauty of this book is that, you know, Jeff Selingo likes to give his families and students who are reading this sort of some tangible lists or things to consider. At the end of this book, he includes a list of colleges he calls dream schools that allows families to kind of look past those rankings of top 10, top 15 that have like those very high application rates, and to find dream schools that offer students some unique fit factors. If you are enjoying the buyers and sellers list, the Dream School would be a great sort of companion as well. And at the back of the book, like I said, it has a whole list of schools that Jeff Selingo considers dream schools that have a lot of different fit factors as well. So it's not just going to be the right fit in terms of financial aid, but it's also got to be the right fit in terms of what the student is looking for as well. So we just wanted to take an opportunity to have this additional time with you. Our coffee and conversations that we had last year was really informative. So we wanted to make sure that we sort of updated it with some resources that our team has found. As I said before, all of the links of things that we've talked about will be also included when we send out this recording to everybody. But thank you guys for being here. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out to us and let us know if you need anything else. Anything else, Ms. Kaushal?
Nope, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.